In a significant pivot in global climate politics, the United States has reversed many of its prior environmental commitments under President Donald Trump and resumed support for fossil fuels, while China has taken a markedly different stance, committing itself to a green energy transition and, for the first time, announcing a concrete emissions cut target by 2035. Chinese President Xi Jinping unveiled the goal in a videotaped address to the United Nations this week. He pledged that China will, by 2035, reduce economy-wide net greenhouse gas emissions by 7% to 10% from peak levels, striving to do better. Great visions require concrete deeds. Climate action is an urgent yet long-term task. Let's all step up our efforts to realize the beautiful vision of harmony between men and nature and preserve planet Earth, the place we call home. Though China plans also to expand wind and solar power, increase forest area and boost electric vehicle sales, climate analysts have pointed out a gap between this ambition and what is needed to align with the Paris Agreement. The announced 7 to 10% cut falls short of the approximately 30% that many experts say is necessary. Even as China made its climate commitment, President Trump used his United Nations address to reaffirm climate skepticism. In his remarks, he declared, "It's climate change because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell happens, there's climate change. It's the greatest congé job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion." That stark contrast has heightened expectations that China may now be seen as the central actor in international climate leadership. In light of this, many observers watched closely as Belinda, a China policy analyst at the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, joined an interview to assess the significance of China's new emissions pledge. Belinda described the announcement as quite a big deal. Until now, China had never formally announced economy-wide emissions reduction goals covering all greenhouse gases across all sectors. She emphasized that President Xi's personal role in delivering the message signals elevated political will. Yet she added a caveat. The commitment is not yet ambitious enough to fully satisfy the Paris targets. Still, she stressed that China is well positioned to exceed the stated goals. Her team's analysis suggests a 30% reduction is feasible under current trends and existing 2030 commitments, meaning that the 7 to 10% figure may represent a conservative floor rather than a cap. Belinda offered insight into why China might opt for such modest targets. She observed that the international environment is not very conducive to bold climate pledges, with potential backlash for any country that struggles to deliver. Domestically, she said, China tends to set modest goals first, then strive to overachieve. In her view, the present targets reflect a very conservative approach, even if real-world implementation might prove more aggressive.